When I first discovered Azure, at that time, some were still referring to Azure as Project Red Dog. I don't know if you remember that. And I immediately saw the potential of cloud computing. As I mentioned, I work for a consulting, an IT consulting company called COFOMO, which is based in Canada. We have employees and offices all around the globe. We have more than 25 years of expertise on the Microsoft ecosystem. Clear cut or clear separation between the role of a developer and an IT pro. Organization has to adopt the DevOps culture. Sometimes you see those teams hate each other. Many people talk about reducing cloud cost. It's not about reducing, it's about optimizing.
So is there any specifically why Microsoft Azure is very popular, especially in enterprise level?
I see Azure being more developer friendly. So if you know something and you try to teach it to other people, you both will benefit. So
it was a great journey, Tidjani, really inspiring one.
My name is Tidjani Belmansour, and thank you very much for having me here on the show. It's such a pleasure and such an honor to be here. So thank you very much for that. A little bit about me. I started my cloud journey back in 2009 actually, when I first discovered Azure. At that time, some were still referring to Azure as Project Red Dog. I don't know if you remember that. Okay. And I immediately saw the potential of cloud computing and Azure. And I started presenting Azure to our C-suite executive for the company I worked for at that time. And I started explaining what it is and how it will change the IT landscape and how it will impact both us as a service provider, but also our customers.
Okay.
And since then, I haven't actually stopped using Azure. So I've kept updating my knowledge about Azure, but it was only back in 2012 that I had the chance to work on my first Azure project from a professional perspective. Okay. And since then, I've had the opportunity to work on multiple Azure projects with many customers around the world, of various industries, including government agencies, entertainment agencies, and so on, and of various sizes and of various complexities. Some were very small companies with only a few people in the company with a very flat hierarchy, and some were very big worldwide companies with that many department and many level of hierarchies. Okay, but more importantly, this customer had different maturity level when it came to cloud adoption at that time, and as opposed to what we could think, it's not the biggest and well-established company that were the most mature in their cloud adoption. Okay, it was the most agile company. It's basically the smallest one that were able to switch gear very fast without having to go through that 6-month approval process that had the better cloud adoption.
Okay.
And now I'm the director of the Azure Center of Excellence for COFOMO. It's a Canadian IT consulting company with whom I work, where part of my mission is to help our employees to gain expertise on Azure in order to deliver great experiences and performance to our customers. But also from a community perspective, I've always been involved in sharing my knowledge and excitement around technology. You know, I'm a firm believer that we learn by teaching. So if you know something and you try to teach it to other people, you both will benefit. So you will, of course, transmit that knowledge, but you will
Great.
also learn from other people. Okay,
Wonderful.
as
Wonderful.
and I had the chance to be a Microsoft Fusion partner from 2007
Okay.
to 2010,
Okay.
and since 2019, I'm an Azure MVP.
Wow.
I'm also the co-host of the Azure Quebec community,
Okay.
which has more than 1,200 members now.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Really cool. So it's really great journey that you had in, especially on Azure. Can you just iterate a little about your organization again, like your organization name? So you have been training your team right now on Azure, and you're just upskilling them for your business and project requirements. So can you tell about how about your organization, and do you have any? Have you tried your entrepreneurship journey? How you started your entrepreneurship journey? So I just curious to know about it.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
uh, Let me first start with my current organization. I work for, as I mentioned, I work for a consulting, an IT consulting company called COFOMO, which is based in Canada, but we have employees and offices all around the globe. We have more than 25 years of expertise on the Microsoft ecosystem, and we are a long-term Microsoft partner. So we recently became a managed services partner with Microsoft, which is, believe me, quite a milestone.
Great, great, great.
uh, that not so many organizations around the world that have that privilege. So we are very proud of that. And we also obtained the advanced specialization for web application modernization on Azure, which make us, as of today, as we speak, one of the only two companies in our area that have that advanced specialization. So we're also very proud of that. And having that specialization allow us to benefit our customer from what we call the AMP program, or AMMP, which is the acronym for Azure Migration and Modernization Program.
Okay.
And how we do that, it's because COFOMO can rely on its various centers of excellence to design and deliver cloud services offering to our customers. But in order to deliver those service offerings, we have also to upskill our people. So a very big part or mission of Center of Excellence at COFOMO is to upskill our people, okay? And we upskill both our consultants, our people, but we also like to upskill the customer's employee when we have the chance. So we know that as a consultant or as a partner, we are not there forever.
Okay.
So we try to upskill those people. So when we leave, they have all the necessary skills to
Nice.
keep going, even if we are no longer there.
That's really cool. Cool. Yeah. So, Tijani, like, what are the roles you started? Like, you already explained a lot. Like, what is your starting point? Which role actually is that a solution architect? How you started your journey of your Azure? So, what is your first job? Can you tell me about little about that? So, it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, of course. So I'm coming from a development background. So I started my career in IT as a software developer. So naturally, when I started my cloud journey, I became a cloud developer. Okay, that was a natural move to do.
Okay.
um, but as my experience and understanding of the cloud computing in general and Azure in particular keep evolving and growing, it became clear to me that um, this usual clear cut or clear separation between the role of a developer and an IT pro when we used to have in what I call traditional computing, so namely on-premises computing. It doesn't really fit well with cloud computing. Okay, what I mean by that is, as a developer, you have to have a basic understanding and knowledge of the infrastructure side. Okay. And also, if you are an IT pro, you have to gain some basic skills and basic understanding of the development side. Okay. That clear separation between the two, it doesn't work well if you want to adopt the cloud. And that's one of the main reason why we see some customers struggling with cloud adoption. It's because they are still in that mindset of having a clear cut between those are IT pros, those are developers. They don't have to work together. They don't have to know about each other. They work in silos. That doesn't work well when you are in cloud computing. Okay? Really? Yeah. So when I understood that, I started to try to understand the infrastructure side. And to be truly honest, it was struggling, and I'm still struggling with that. Okay, it's not obvious when you are a developer to understand the infrastructure side. And same, if you are an IT pro, you need to know that you will be struggling trying to understand the development side. But the key point here is that you don't need to become, if you are a developer, you don't need to become an IT pro. And if you are an IT pro, you don't need to become a developer. You just need to have the basic understanding and basic knowledge so you can speak a common language when you work with that person. So that's when you reach that threshold, if I may say. And so when I gained that understanding on both the development and infrastructure side, that led me to a role of a cloud solution architect. As a cloud solution architect, what I do mainly is to design solutions that are addressing business needs and business motivations in an efficient manner. So in order to have efficient design, you need to think from both the development side and the infrastructure side. You cannot think just on one side. As the director of the Center of Excellence, part of my job is also to upskill people, so both our consultant and our employee, so they can operate those solutions effectively when we are no longer there, as we mentioned earlier. And when I do that, I try or I make a point to make them understand that. So, okay, you are an IT pro, that's okay, but you also need to understand some development basics and so on, okay? That's cool. And another thing that became very clear to me when adopting the cloud is that organization has to adopt the DevOps culture, okay? Yeah. Traditionally, companies say, oh yeah, we have IT pros, we have developers, and then we have a team which is dedicated to maintaining those applications when they are in production, okay? So usually you have a team that develop the application, create the application, and then you have another team that maintain the application later on. But those teams don't work together, don't talk to each other. And it's sad to say it that way, but sometimes you see those teams hate each other.
That's true. They have a lot of conflict.
Yeah, exactly.
Creative differences. Yeah.
Exactly, because there's that thinking of, oh, you took some shortcut just to make your life easier, and now I have to deal with that. So you're making my life harder.
It's always that, like, for between the team. So when they don't understand what they are doing, and as you told, when DevOps is not properly followed, Yeah, it's really yeah, cool,
Exactly.
cool.
And if you allow me just
Yeah.
one last comment about that. When adopting the cloud as an organization, you need to understand that you will have new roles that did not existed in the past.
Okay.
One kind of roles is a FinOps engineer,
Okay.
financial operation engineers. So
Okay.
usually when you had the on-premises infrastructure, you don't needed those people. Why? It's because you already bought those infrastructure. So whether you are using it or no, doesn't make a big change for you. But in the cloud, you are paying for what you use. So you are constantly trying to optimize what you are spending in order
Okay.
to maximize your return on investment. And um, if you've noticed here, I don't say reduce your cost, because many people say talk about reducing cloud cost. It's not
Okay.
about reducing, it's about optimizing cloud cost.
Okay.
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 The key difference here is um, you may probably spend the same amount per month from a cloud cost perspective, but you are spending those dollars or so that money on different services or different SKUs. So you are maximizing the value you are providing to your end users, okay,
Okay.
and your customers, and that's what's important, because it's not about IT infrastructure, about application, about technology. It's about what you are offering as business value to your customers. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
so if you are spending the same amount but reallocating those amount in order to increasing the business value you are providing to your customers, it's a win for you, because you will have more customers, more loyal customers, increase your market share, and so on. Okay, you did not really reduce your cloud cost, but you
Okay.
increased your income
Yes,
in some way.
that's true. So which are the services that you need for your business, the infrastructure setup that you have to take care for your project? I think yeah, that's where like professionals like you are making really great moves while optimizing the cloud infrastructures and all. So I
Yeah.
think that's where, as you told, you evolve your career from there, from starting to understand what Azure is, and then from the journey starter, you find what are the complex problems exist in the businesses, and then you started learning how Azure can solve that. So now it was a great journey, Tijani, really inspiring one. And then how actually you think like Microsoft Azure solves most of the complex problems, like we have other players like AWS, Google Cloud. So is there any specifically why Microsoft is Azure is very popular, especially in enterprise level? So is there any difference between these AWS and Google Cloud while solving such problems?
Um, from my perspective and my experience, I see Azure being more developer friendly than AWS. Okay, that's my point of
Yeah,
view.
yeah, got it.
I might have made myself enemies here,
Okay,
but
okay,
that's the way I experience it.
okay,
Um,
okay,
I've seen many IT pros feel more comfortable with AWS
okay,
rather than Azure.
okay,
Um, but from a developer perspective, I've seen the opposite. So developers are usually more comfortable with Azure rather than AWS. Why? It's because almost anything you want to set up in AWS, you need to have a a network understanding,
okay,
networking skills, infrastructure skills. While on Azure, you will likely focus on your application, the application you want to deliver, the services you want to deliver, and the infrastructure is like an abstract thing to you.
Okay.
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 Yes, you have to do some configuration, and you need IT pros, of course. You need Azure administrator,
Okay.
cloud architect from a infrastructure and the networking side, of course.
Okay.
But if you are a developer, it's, to me,
Okay.
easier to go with Azure rather than AWS.
Great.
Okay.
So if there is a software developer who definitely wants to take a move into their cloud journey, instead of maybe in AWS or Google, it's always good to go with Azure. So that is what you are trying to tell me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I will suggest developers to start with Azure, as is
Okay.
easier to approach. Okay, I don't know about Google Cloud, to be
Okay.
honest. I have
Okay.
no
Okay.
experience with it,
Got
but
it.
I have experience with Azure in
AWS.
AWS.
Okay.
And one disclaimer here, I'm not saying that Azure is better than AWS or
Okay.
AWS is better than Azure.
Okay.
They have
Own pros and cons.
their
Yeah.
own rules, if I may say that.
Correct.
And honestly, as you evolve in your cloud journey, you will need, and you will probably work both on Azure and on AWS.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
Google Cloud too,
Okay.
because if you're in the consulting company, you will have customers that use multi-cloud. Okay, so you have multiple
Correct.
clouds. So
Okay.
you will have to work with the different cloud providers. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make here is, if you had to start your cloud journey today and you are a developer, I think a better fit for you will be Azure.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a great insight, Tijani. Actually, many of the developers right now, they want to shift into cloud. So as you told, they are much worrying about the networking concepts. Something it was like they have to learn from the scratch. So it was a little bit difficult for them. So it was something new. I have never heard that it was a developer friendly Azure. So we thought like if it is a cloud, you have to start with AWS by default, but there is an option. You can start with AWS, but still Azure is that. If you are a developer, you can try that. Then you can learn AWS as well. So that's a clear,
Exactly.
yeah, great insight. And
And if you allow me just one last comment about that, there is a common mistake I hear, and that it is, oh, we are using Microsoft technologies, we are using .NET, so we have no choice but to go with Azure. That's not true. Okay,
okay,
.NET now runs on any platform. You can run it on Windows, of course, on Linux, and
so
it's supported by almost every cloud provider. So you can deliver
okay,
great .NET application on AWS, just as
okay,
you can deliver great Java or Python or TypeScript application on Azure. So it's not because it's Microsoft Azure that you only need to run Microsoft
okay.
technologies.
Technology like other .NET or some 365, those kind of stuff is not Azure. Azure is something
Exactly.
independent, and any kind of Kubernetes or anything you can use and you can explore a lot. That's
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Um, it's a question that I came across very recently. It was 2 weeks ago. Okay, a developer in our teams told me, "Oh, but I want to try AWS, but I will have to go with the command line and work from the command line rather than from Visual Studio." And no, there are SDKs that you can add to your Visual Studio,
Okay.
and you have templates for AWS application. You can create an application that target AWS from Visual Studio. You don't necessarily need to go the command line way in order to create application that will be deployed on AWS. So
Okay, okay, that's cool. So that is not mandatory to start why you have to write the codes. You have the
yeah,
kind of the GUI interface for connectivities, and you just want to learn the concepts back to deploy all those stuff. Yeah, that's really cool.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, Tijani, like, can you tell me about the certification part? So we hear a lot of buzz like you need to get certification to start your career in Microsoft Azure or any cloud. So is that mandatory to have a certification? And if so, if is there any specific certification for a beginner that they have to start?
Okay. Um, let me answer your question by telling you or by explaining you how we do it at COFOMO. Okay.
Okay.
At COFOMO, we have hundreds of consultants worldwide. Okay, and many of those people are certified on Microsoft technologies. As I mentioned earlier, we value training because we firmly believe that as an IT consulting company, the product that we are delivering to our customer is our knowledge. Okay, we are not providing any physical product. We are not providing phones or computers or any device. We are providing knowledge and expertise. So in order to do that and to be relevant, we have to constantly keep that knowledge and expertise up to date. Okay, so we value training a lot, and as I mentioned earlier, a big part of a center of excellence at COFOMO is to upskill and constantly upskill our people. Okay, and how we do that? We do that by training. So we have classes where we explain concept technologies, we do some demos and so on. We also do workshops. And what is a workshop? It's just a step-by-step do-it-yourself kind of thing. Okay, so in order to do that, we provide environment, so practice labs environment, so people can practice. And we provide a step-by-step exercises, and people follow those exercises in order to have a practical experience of that, because we firmly believe that it's not just about the learning, it's about the practicing too. Okay, sorry. We also have what we call challenges. Okay, and what are challenges is we tell our people, okay, this is what you need to do. Okay, that's the goal you need to achieve, but we don't tell you how to do it. So go and figure it out yourself. Okay. We, for example, at COFOMO, we have many business roles who are not technical roles. And we encourage them to take fundamental exam, like AZ900 exams, so Azure fundamental exams, M365 fundamental exam, Power Platform fundamental exam, in order to have a clear understanding of those technologies and be able to better serve our customers.
I should learn AWS first, and then I should start Azure, or anyone can start, even a non-IT guy.
You will find very similar concepts. Okay. Yes, services names are different.